Hi everyone. We're here as the 10 Days core team, and we've been together. We're just so excited about all that we see God doing at the moment in Reading, in our town of Reading, especially in prayer and worship. And we're just thrilled to be on that journey together at this time, at this season, and with all of you, probably, or most of you who are watching the video. And we're thrilled to be seeing God's kingdom coming in Reading, and that's what we just so long for. And we sense that there's this bigger picture.
In the lockdown, God's taking the church on a bit of a journey. It's an invitation to seek our first love in prayer and worship. And it's kind of like a move away from buildings and Sunday mornings to church in homes and online throughout the week. It's towards discipling each other, being discipled. It's like Acts Church, and you've seen some of that through the way that the church has responded to the lockdown, and that's just part of what God is doing in His church in this time. Also, as a church leader, I just want to kind of reassure a little. What 10 days of prayer doesn't in any way intend to replace church, but to bless the Church of Reading and to encourage it.
Lockdown has led to a lot of disconnection and disruption in many ways, but technology has facilitated new connections and connections that we didn't expect. And so our experience of lockdown has been of a lot more connection with people from all sorts of different churches and backgrounds across Reading, much more than before. So, really thankful for the technology that's facilitated that.
So some of you will know and some of you won't, but in Reading, 10 Days of Prayer started in 2017 when Tim Doolan had this sense that God was leading him to put this giant tent up in the Forbury Gardens. And that's how Stephen and I got involved, because we went along and we just couldn't stay away from this tent. We were there every night.
It was as though it was magnetic.
Yeah.
We were just drawn to it.
Yeah, we were. And it was meeting old friends who'd been praying for Reading for years and new friends that we hadn't known before. And it just reignited in us a fire for praying for Reading and what God wanted to do. So, and 10 Days had started in the States, this movement of over the 10 days of awe in the Jewish calendar, which happens in the autumn or the fall if you're American. And so that had been started by a guy called Jonathan Frizz, and he had this real vision of cities stopping and welcoming the King, and Christians everywhere praying and fasting and repenting and worshipping. And so
one of the things that absolutely captivated us, and we were so thrilled, was that you could go back 20 years and we had Praying Together for Reading meetings cross town, and then we had big sort of get-togethers on the back of the Edsel Vozo visit, and we also had Sacrifice of Praise led by Chris and Linda, going back all-nighters of praise and worship. But all of that had kind of died away. Now the pastors had kept meeting Wednesday morning, but for us grassroots Christians, nothing was going on seemingly at a cross-town level for praying for our town. And suddenly here was this Tim Doolan, who's an absolutely lovely guy whom the Lord has used tremendously to bless Reading, putting a big top in the Forbury Gardens because God had told him to, and suddenly here we all were again. We were there worshipping God and praying for our town. It was awesome.
A lot of what 10 Days was about last year was prayer room in Abbey Baptist Church, 2410 in fact, which was just fantastic. And coming out of that, we continued meeting every Thursday on a lunchtime, which we're still doing, but virtually. That's now 1 o'clock. So if you haven't joined, it's the same Zoom link. Malk, you lived in that prayer room.
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, I think for me, there's the huge continuity around the whole Abbey site. I believe the Lord had told me to take the cross to the town centre, and we've been praying there once a week ever since, but on Saturdays for some months, probably a couple of years actually. We went to the Forbury on a Saturday afternoon, having walked around the town. Sometimes we took the cross, other times we didn't. Got talking to the young people. And long story short, off the back of that, I think the Lord provided the boiler room just down from the Forbury. And we picked up a real sense of the continuity of prayer and worship that, in a sense, to our shame, the monks managed for hundreds of years. And we're just kind of playing with it, aren't we, by comparison? But there's always, for me, there's always a sense when I go into the Forbury that there's a rich resource there, a rich history of prayer. And certainly the prayer room last year in Abbey Baptist was a lovely reminder. I got all nostalgic about the boiler room, but I really see God wanting the re-establishment of actual prayer rooms, and I say rooms, I think, but prayer networks, which this really is in embryonic form, isn't it? It's just fantastic to see it.
So this year's 10 days. In fact, we've already had one. So Jonathan Frizz in the United States, before COVID, just sensed God saying, set up a global virtual prayer room. And so we as team, we're leading an hour a day for 10 days. And it was brilliant. We have prayer and worship going on. And
this was in the run up to Pentecost, wasn't it?
That's right.
I think one of the exciting things about that was that we were a town representing not just Reading, but representing the UK.
Yeah.
And to be part of a 24/7 international event with a group from Pakistan before us and a group from Kansas City International House of Prayer after us.
Yeah.
Then this group of people gathering every day, mainly from across Reading, to pray not just for us, but for Reading to be a blessing to the rest of the world, was a very inspiring dynamic, very memorable and special time.
So we just wanted to put in here just a diary date for the 10 days in the autumn, which is 19th to the 28th of September. I don't know what we'll be doing.
So.
It will, I'm sure, include being part of the virtual global prayer room again, and some other stuff, including I think we were all taken by talk of a consecration challenge, which is an individual thing, but more of that another time, I'm sure.
The Pentecost 10 days felt like a really special time. I think felt like there was something very significant about meeting every day over that 10-day period, and meeting from homes and meeting the same time each day. And we came out of that kind of feeling like there's something in all of what we've been experiencing in these last 10 days that it's somehow really important to continue to step into and see what God's saying. And but we wanted it to be really manageable. We knew that we couldn't sustain 8 till 9 every morning. So we just thought, well, let's just try, 10 minutes in the morning. And so we kind of started off this 7:45 to 7:55. I think what the distinctive of this prayer time is that we're really praying for Reading in a general sense and in a specific sense, and just speaking out God's purposes for Reading. So it has that very, very specific focus. As those of you who are part of it know, we've kind of just been kind of evolving a bit of a template, if you like, the idea of having a little bit of liturgy at the beginning and a little bit of liturgy at the end, just so that we all know where we are and what we're doing. And if you join a little bit late, you can hook in, and we don't have to spend lots of time explaining what we're doing. As you get into the rhythm of it, you kind of slot in, and each morning kind of led maybe with a bit of scripture and then just an open time of prayer. And we felt also that it was really important, the sense of the rhythm of breaking bread together. So Mondays is breaking bread day. We kind of feel like we've maybe stumbled into a pattern of prayer that is really replicable, and maybe God's in it.
We're taking baby steps, but our hope is maybe just encouraging smaller little groups of prayers using technology, which means you don't have to get in your car. It's such a convenient, easy way to mobilize and maybe have a multiplication that maybe one day we'll look back and say, well, that went viral. We didn't see that coming. But so, we're hoping, aren't we, always for growth, transformation and multiplication.
And we just wonder, is there something in the number 10? 10 days of prayer, 10 minutes of prayer, perhaps 10 people, groups of 10, 10, 10, 10.
And maybe I'm just being a bit overexcited or something, I don't know. But I just think, wouldn't it be amazing if there were 100 little prayer cells of 10 people around Reading that every day we're just setting aside just 10 minutes to pray for Reading? That to me feels like it should be really manageable for us to commit just 10 minutes of our day each day to pray for the town, the place that God's placed us. It could be different times of the day. Of course, the morning isn't necessarily the best time for everybody, but maybe little prayer cells could be set up at different times that kind of are more convenient for different groups of people.
And we've been 5 days a week, haven't we? And that's been a good rhythm. But again, these things aren't set in stone, but that's worked for us.
I think there's about 30-ish people in the WhatsApp group. What we're suggesting is that maybe it's time for the group to multiply and to kind of plant out another group, maybe running at 7:45 still in the morning. So there's kind of 2 rooms running initially.
And then this idea of if groups are able to coming together on a Monday to break bread together, but we'll see how it develops.
Yeah, and invite other people. I mean, each week we've been having new people joining, so you should feel completely free to invite other people to connect. And if you suddenly think, actually I'd love to start a group, then just come and have a chat with us. We'd really love you to do that.
It was one of the blessings of maybe multiplying a group at this point is that we can be a slightly smaller group and more people can get to pray in that 10-minute slot.
I think what's been lovely has been at an individual level praying with people from many churches. This team represents different churches, and let's really be just the body of Christ across this town, regardless of which church we're in.